Take two. We're gonna see what
Yes,
happens.
we'll see what happens. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. As we sip tonight, I am sipping on a lemon drop martini. And then I have these special cherries in there that are, let's just say they're infused.
Got a little moonshine going on tonight.
Got a little moonshine going on tonight. I can only get
Hey.
one or two of the little fruit things. I'll probably be eating on those for a while because they are potent.
I feel you. I hear you. I'm drinking on water. Mountain Dew tonight. Your girl was sleepy, so I just got to hydrate, and I needed a little caffeine pick me up. So there we go, and I got
Right.
my strawberries and my grapes. You know, got to eat healthy, even when I'm traveling. But wherever you are in the world, my boo things, love bugs, badasses, beautiful souls, and my good people, tell us what you're sipping on, how you doing, where are you? As you come in, hop into the chat. Let us know if it's your first time catching up with us. Let us know that. And if you've been rocking with us for a bit now, we appreciate you, we honor you, we love you, and we give thanks for you. With that being said, here's some housekeeping because we are streaming on Facebook tonight, but it's being wonky, so it's not on my personal page. It is on the Sex Intimacy Power page tonight. So if you are there or anywhere else that you have seen us share this link and you're watching us, please keep clicking through. If you
Come
want to
on
comment so that
now.
we can see out, you got to come out of Facebook into the YouTube channel and actually click into the comment box there so that we can see you and actually engage with you. Because a lot of times y'all be messaging me like I was trying to comment. And then
Right.
I
I
see
was like, I got a comment. I got a comment. And it's like, wait a
yes,
minute now.
you got to click all the way through. We also ask that you take 30 seconds because it won't take long. I promise you, 30 seconds. Make sure that you click that subscribe button. Make sure that you click the like button on this video. Comment so that you can engage with us because that helps us reach more people. And tell somebody about it. Click that share button. It's real easy. Right up under the video on YouTube, click that share button, grab that link, and go ahead and tell somebody about it. Or they can just simply look up Sex Intimacy Power, no spaces. Sex Intimacy Power on Facebook and YouTube. One last thing, guys. I have been getting the question, when are we going to start streaming it in audio? Y'all keep asking that. We're working on it. Bear with us, y'all. We made the segue and took a big jump from Facebook to here on the YouTube channel. And we've been working to just make sure that you all were getting over here with us so we don't lose you. Y'all got to find us. And then as we
Right.
are now getting steady with this, and figuring all these things out, we'll make sure that we figure out how to get the audio somewhere, whether on Spotify or Google Play or
That's
Amazon
right.
or Apple Tunes or whatever. Right? We'll work on those things. I promise you, we have not forgotten you. It's just a work in progress, and we're trying to make sure we don't overwhelm ourselves. But we're gonna get to it. I promise you, we're gonna get to it. Until then, be in these comments. Put the phone down on the countertop. Put your Bluetooth in. You know what I'm saying? Your earbuds in, and listen to us as you cleaning and vacuuming and sterilizing them bathrooms and the kitchens and cooking and all of them good things. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all ready? Tonight, the question. Well, first, okay, y'all, if you did not, I do have to say this. If you did not catch us with our impromptu, I called it the unauthorized after dark version yesterday.
It sure was. Because nobody called me, but then again, I have to tell y'all what happened to me yesterday. Wait, time out. Gotta tell you what happened to me because my girl is actually in town. But I was like, oh my God, I'm not feeling well. Let me lay down for a little bit.
Yeah.
Sister girl woke up, it was like 7:40 something. First of all, I had an audition yesterday and I missed it because I was slept. But anyway, I digress. So I woke up at 7:40 something. It was like still light outside. Tell me why I thought it was 7:40 something this morning and I was late for work. So I got up, took a shower, and got dressed and everything. And then I kept looking at my phone and they kept saying it was Monday. And I was like, wait, wasn't it Monday already? And so, yeah, your girl was really on something. I really shouldn't be drinking no lemon drop martini. I probably should be drinking
No,
some water, but
no.
it's a sip night.
It's a sip night. Okay. Well,
It's
I'm
a
gonna sip with
sip.
you with this water. I got some water for both of us because I was out there hot sun sightseeing today. I needed to make sure that I am staying hydrated. But
Right.
yeah, we had an unauthorized. I call it like how you had the unauthorized biography. So we had an unauthorized decision last night because Q and Michael. Were also not too far from me, so they stopped by the hotel and we got a chance to hang out and went sightseeing some last night, walking me through the city. And I was like, so what I heard y'all say is we doing an unauthorized edition, we doing some podcasts, and they was like, let's go. So last night we actually talked about what does it look like to move on after divorce, right?
Right.
And that's a question I get a lot from clients, from friends, from people that have seen me behind the scenes navigate mine years ago. Um, and Q is actively, walking that process now. And
And
so
I
we've talked
navigated mine in 2017. Yeah.
and so we've answered the question a few times, but I don't know if we've ever just dedicated an episode to it. So last night, that was the thing that we just decided to dive in. And we were fortunate that Michael was able to present his vantage point as a male going through that process as well, right? So make sure that you guys go back and catch that replay here on the
Right.
channel, chime in, and ask us your questions. And before I forget, I did have somebody that messaged me and was like that they were catching the replay early and was like, this is it. So what they were saying was, this talk resonates with me. I met a woman who showed up as everything I never knew I needed until she showed her up as her true self when I said I was leaving. And
Whoa.
that's a big thing that a lot of us, I ain't gonna say all, but a lot of us have experienced, right? When we hit a point where we're done, that's when people change and start to show the dark side of themselves because they're not getting what they
This
want.
is true. This is
I
true.
want to give you a
But
chance to
the
talk about
thing,
that.
but that's why I say there's a 90-day rule, because somebody can be a representative for like about 90 days. About 90 days, then they really will show up as their true self. Fast forward, let me rewind a little bit. So a little while ago, somebody I was dating, we had got into a disagreement, and they showed up at my house uninvited and unannounced, right? I was a little disturbed by that. But I really didn't say anything at that time. But let's just say turnabout is fair play. So last week, you know, same thing happened, but I showed up at his house unannounced. Yeah, he didn't like that. Well, see, that's how I felt. Don't show up somewhere unannounced. If you don't like it done to you, don't do it to someone else, you know? And I know navigating a divorce is tricky, because I loved my ex-husband. I really did. But what he did was unforgivable for me. And because it was unforgivable for me, I had to leave and take my peace back, right? But that doesn't look like the same thing for everybody, because I I have some classmates, they always talk about how, oh, I've been married 30 years. I remember when you was at year 5 and you was out in the street. Oop, did I say street? Yep, I said street. I did. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? So what's
I mean,
unforgivable for me may not be unforgivable for the next person, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has their own boundaries, and you need to honor and respect other people's boundaries. And if that means that you have to walk away and be lonely or whatever, then do that. But at the same time, respect people's space.
well, and the thing I say about that is, well, so responding to both things, because I want to give you a chance to weigh in on it since we went more in depth with it last night. Responding to their comment, I I happen to operate with the belief that not all marriages are meant to last a lifetime, just like not all relationships are meant to last a lifetime. And I know that some people, I've said that too, and they agree. And some people have taken issue with it. Like, well, what's the point of getting married if you know that you're not going to be together? Or that's not your intention. And I feel like everybody has the right to decide what makes sense for them, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not. It is what it is, that we are all individual and we are all here, even though we're part of this collective spiritual energy and dynamic, energy. We are all still here to have very different experiences based on whatever the case may be, contracts, agreements, vows, lessons we need to learn, blessings we need to receive, whatever we want to contribute to the earth, what the fuck ever, is different for each of us. And there's overlap as well. That being said, I can understand having someone in your life and thinking they're everything. And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, this person may still be great, but I now feel like I don't need to be in this, or they're not great for me. And it's okay to leave. It's okay to make that decision to bring something to an end. It's okay to decide we need to consciously uncouple, or we need to separate and go our separate ways, or whatever the case, whatever the label people want to put on it.
Mhm.
Because it just doesn't give you what you're looking for. Now, this doesn't mean every time there's a hiccup, throw your hands up and give up. That's
Right.
not what I'm saying, people.
Absolutely not.
But what I am saying is, intrinsically within us, we know what we need. We know how we want to feel. We know when we are operating at our best or our lowest capacity. And even though we may love a person, it's okay to get to a point where we recognize this is not the person that we need to be with. And a lot of the times, if that person is not on that same page of recognizing that, they will change and the mask comes off and they start to act. I won't even say out of character, because it may be part of their character, but they start to act differently than what we've come to expect. And then flipping to
Mhm.
yours before we move on to tonight's question. Um, I also agree. I'm that type of person. My home is my safe haven. So the only person that really can show up at my house unannounced is my man, right? As long as
But
we,
he wasn't my man.
let me
He
finish.
was
And
somebody I was dating.
I understand. That's why I said, let me finish.
Mhm.
My man, meaning that we've had that conversation. We know that we are exclusively dating. Ain't nobody else involved in the equation, because I'm not polyamorous, right? I
Right. I'm not
like my
poly either.
I like my heterosexual one person relationship, right? I'm very vanilla, as Keith and Mike like to call it. They call us the vanilla people. So that being said, if we've had a conversation and we know that we are each other's person, then at some point, once we get to that space with each other, he's gonna have a key to my house, or the code to the keypads and the alarm system. Because if you're my man, again, I didn't say dating, I said my man,
Correct.
then that displays a level of trust that I now have for you. I don't mean
Correct.
I even want to live with you, but you have access, and I expect that same level of access to your space. That's the only
Correct.
person. Now, my besties, my small circle of besties, they could absolutely show up at my house unannounced, but that's again after
A
we have
very
gotten to that.
small circle.
That's a
Absolutely.
small circle. And after we've had that conversation, because until we've had that conversation and established that with one another, I don't think that people should do that. There are people that have been, dating for 10 years and don't have keys and alarm codes and
You
whatever.
ain't gonna get
And
no
my
key one.
and my thing is, there's no judgment. I think that everybody gets to decide what it looks like. And that's a segue into, what does healthy dating look like? What does a healthy relationship look like? Which is our question tonight, right? And my immediate answer to that is, I don't think that there's one healthy way. I think that there are certain things that create a key foundation to what can be healthy, but I don't think that there's one way to be healthy or right in your relationship.
Well, I have a question for you then.
Hmm.
So while while it may seem healthy at times, if there are unhealthy episodes, such as acting out and that kind of stuff, unhealthy episodes that are like that show up kind of but they show up, right? To me, that is an unhealthy relationship, that the person again has their mask on, and they every now and then slip out of their mask and their true self shows up, if that makes sense. And 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 to me, okay, this might sound like a little judgmental or whatever, but to me, if you've been married multiple times and you're always saying it's the other person's fault, but you're the least common denominator, well, maybe not.
Well, and so I let me make sure I understand what you're saying. Okay, so you got a person that you feel like they're wearing their mask and they present well, but there are these moments where you feel like the mask is slipping and their true character is being revealed. What do you
Right. Like they have like anger outbursts, things like that that are already automatic red flags. And you just be like, hold up. Nope. Because see, first of all, I know that God is not done with me yet. But I do know for a fact that Sister Girl got hands. And do not play. So don't test me or tempt me. Because if you got mouth and hands too, you gonna find out that I might be the Rihanna to your Chris Brown.
Okay, so that being said, going back to your logic with the example that you just gave, could somebody reasonably say, well, now Gypsy, you're showing your true character. You would never this other person.
Nope. I always let you know ahead of time that I got hands, and my reaction is from your action. And so that's the thing. That's what people need. People need to understand that my attitude is based on you, but my personality is based on me. And so what happens
by your logic, your logic. Now, because I don't see either one is right or wrong, and I'm just asking. I'm asking to further the context and the conversation by your logic. What you, if I understand what you were saying, if a person typically acts this way, and then they begin to come out of character and act this way, by your logic, is that the true character of the person, i.e., you? If you throw hands just because you said it,
I've already explained that if you act out of character, I will defend myself, and I let you know ahead of time. I let you know ahead of time. So that
feels like they're responding to something that you're doing or saying.
Coming out of character. You can't hit me because of something I say. Now my mouth is my mouth. I can say whatever the fuck I want to.
No. So again, I'm using your logic. What I'm asking is, because again, what you're saying is, if you come out of character, it's because you're responding to something they've done or said, right? So what if they feel like they're responding to something you said or did, and that's what made them come out of character? What's the difference is what I'm trying to understand from your vantage point. What would be the difference? Because to me, you're saying the same thing. It's just
if I haven't laid hands on you or nothing, but if you just all of a sudden flip out, like I mean, like lose your damn mind, like you didn't been on something, and I haven't done anything, that's something else. So you're saying their perception of a wrong may be their perception. So I have to watch out for their perception. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't see a difference in what you're explaining. If you're telling me that if you respond in this way, it is because you are responding to what they have done to cause.
I'm responding for an actual wrong, not a perceived wrong.
What's the difference? Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Is an actual wrong, like an actual, you actually did something to me.
So what's the actual wrong?
If you look like you finna throw hands at me or you start hollering at me and stuff, hold on now. Hold on, who you talking to?
Okay. I feel like you already in therapy, so that's good. Two, I think you need some outlets for the aggression.
I do. Hey, I found this on place right around corner. Sure did.
You need to get in the box.
Let's go fix my aim, or no? Let me stop.
Listen, because you got a lot going on right now. Okay. But that being said, again, what I'm saying is, yes, I do believe there are instances. For me to clarify my vantage point, I do believe there are instances where a person truly can act out of the character that we have known them to be or display. That does not necessarily mean that they're not now being genuine or authentic, or they weren't a good person, or they weren't being themselves. We as human beings are multifaceted and multi-layered.
Correct.
Now, if this person has never displayed this, like ever, and all of a sudden they're aggressive or they're nasty with their words or they're abusive in some form or fashion, then I'm going to be led to believe it's likely that they were wearing a mask over here and this is the real them kind of
Okay.
breaking through and coming out. But if you're just giving the example based on what you said, again, either side could play that argument of, but I'm responding to you. So in that
Gotcha.
case, I think that comes down to a communication issue. And this is all hypothetical because you haven't really given me a concrete example, right? But I think in that case, it comes down to a simple miscommunication of what whoever was going through was understanding and how the other person chose to respond. But that's why I was asking you, like you went to fighting people and putting your hands on them. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, give me an example of how you
Now
did this.
I don't fight people and put their my hands on them unless they actually, warrant that. I'm past that stage of like just fighting to be fighting. I don't do all that.
I mean, I get that.
I'm too damn old to be just fighting to be fighting now.
I get that. But again, I feel like so this is a conversation that I've had a lot. I've dealt with different clients over the years that were coming out of abusive relationships, and this is a hypothetical that friends talk about as we navigate dating and marriage and all the things. What would you do? How would you respond to this? Right?
Right.
I'm the type of person that I'm nice. Let me fix that because I'm not even nice. I am kind until I am not. And oftentimes, that's why I was asking these questions, because oftentimes I do hear that from people. Well, you were just acting and you were just pretending. No, I was
No.
I was giving you the genuine me. I am kind. I am not one to be accused of being nice because I don't bend over backwards to do anything. I'm not a people pleaser. I don't prioritize other people first, but I do have a genuine heart and I am compassionate and graceful and loving and all these things. So I see myself as kind, right? And I am kind until I am not, meaning I have a spectrum. And I will always err on this side of the spectrum and give my greatest to people because I don't typically like a lot of people, but I love people, right? Now, what happens is based on how I experience people and how they respond to me, how they treat me, I move
Mhm.
along this spectrum and I either get to this place of recognizing this is not a person that I really want to engage with because now I feel like I'm leaning too far away of my set point or homeostasis, or they may get, as I like to explain it, you either get the Cabbage Patch doll or the gremlin, right? And one of them, one of them is gonna be nice and loving and kind and sweet and ooey gooey, whatever the hell you want to call it. She's gonna be all those things. And the
And the
gremlin,
other one ate after midnight.
it after midnight, right? She's gonna be a hellion and she's set to destroy mode. So, and the reality is I can count on one hand how many people in my lifetime have seen that version of me, because that's not
Right.
and I say version because it's not me coming out of character. That is very much a part of my character.
It's a very
It's,
much a part of me,
it's simply
but
a
it's a
lesson,
part of me that has to be evoked.
right? That's why I was asking you, what is the difference for you when you
That's what the difference is that part is a very much a part of me, but it has to be evoked. It's not a surface level me. Let me tell you, the younger me used to dive into that part of me frequently. It didn't take much to trigger that. Like she would come on out and be swinging on her way out. But the older, more mature me is more like, hold on, do I need to fight every fight? I don't fight every fight. That's the difference, right? And when I get to the point of, all right, I'm gonna holler at you, I don't give a shit anymore. You bet you would want me to be at that point where I want to fight. Because when I get at that point where I'm like, oh, you coming in at 3? Oh, okay then.
well,
That
and
means
let's
I don't care. When I don't care, that means I'm on my way out the door.
and let's broaden the conversation because I don't want it to come across as this is the only thing that it leads to aggression or physical violence or
No,
behavior.
it doesn't only need to lead to aggression, but there is a point, like, so there is a point where you like wanna, when I say fight for your relationship, I mean like you want to question what's going on. Hey, you don't seem like you're into this anymore, whatever. And then there is that other point of, oh, we're not going out this weekend. Oh, okay then. Oh, you don't want to hang out? Oh, okay then. Oh, we're not having sex? Oh, okay then. And when you get to oh, okay then,
But let's
most of the
also,
time they're okay with whatever because they're waiting for you to pull the plug.
I get that. Now, but let's also, because I don't ever really try to create one-sided conversations. Let's also look at again, because I don't think that every marriage relate whatever is meant to
It's a
last a
lag.
lifetime. There are reasons and seasons for all things and all people and experiences. So I truly believe that yes, there are people that are meant to get married. There are people that are meant to be in relationship, and it's just not meant for longevity. It may
Hold
be a month,
on.
it may be
Question.
years, it may be
Is it,
decades, but it's not meant for longevity.
I have a question. Is that because you married someone you weren't supposed to marry? They were supposed to come and teach you something for a season and you tried to turn it into a marriage?
No, that's not what I think. And please also understand, I thought this well before I ever got married. I've always thought this. Um, I genuinely look at marriages so much different. It's not just about having a fancy wedding and all these things that we do now. It is about the covenant, the promise. And
Right.
sometimes, regardless of the lifetime outcome or path,
Mhm.
there is a point and a purpose to that covenant and that promise. It may be to produce children. It may be to support each other in healing. It may be to create a business together that will create a long-lasting legacy or positively impact the community. It may be because she will push him through law school or he will push her through medical school, and that person is going on to do this, and this, and be this great inventor or neurosurgeon or legal, whatever. There is purpose in our unions. And so for me, it's not just about the wedding. It's not just about the I do's. It's not just about the fucking or the people celebrating you. There's so much more power in our unions when we would unite our energy. But that does not mean, in my opinion, that does not mean that is always for a lifetime or longevity. So on the healthy aspect of that, I want to normalize the conversation that sometimes it's not about the sex being lacking. Sometimes it's not that the sex stops. Sometimes it's not that they're going out and leaving you at home and you stop communicating. Sometimes things can be fine and they can be normal, but there's a part of you that wakes up one day and realizes I'm no longer meant to be in this, or we're no longer meant to be in this. And I
Hmm.
think that that's healthy to be able to acknowledge that. I think it's healthy to have communication with the person that we call
Right.
our person, man, woman, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband, wife, whatever we call them, lifetime partner, whatever. It is healthy. That's one of the tenets for me of healthy relationships. What does it look like? Communication,
Hmm.
not listening to respond, but listening to hear and sincerely understand what that other person is expressing. Even if it means that they're expressing that they feel like their time with you has come to an end and they need to move on to whatever their next spiritual lesson or blessing or elevation is, right?
Right.
That's me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that is how I look at it. I also think another tenet of having a healthy relationship, what does it look like, is to have flexibility in your relationships because you change. Who you are when you say I do is not who you're going to be in 6 months or 10 years or 30 years or 50 years from now.
Flexibility. Hmm.
Mhm. So I think we do each other a disservice when we try to hold each other to this vision. Friends do it to each other too, right? We meet someone behaving a certain way, and because it feels good and it makes sense to us, we want them to stay that way. But that's selfish. We want to grow, but we want them to stay the same because it makes sense to us, right? And
Hmm.
so I
Right.
think flexibility, allowing people to grow, allowing people to change, allowing people to heal, allowing people to stretch themselves. Now, that doesn't mean that, if you got married with monogamy in mind and if they want to embrace polyamory, that doesn't mean you got to stay with them. It don't mean you got to leave them.
That
It don't mean
part
you
because
don't want to.
they have changed and they have changed the rules now.
Well, again, that's where communication comes in. It doesn't mean you have to stay, but it also doesn't mean you have to leave. Many people have that conversation and they find a happy medium for them. Many people have that conversation and they realize this means that we've come to the end of our road, and that's okay. But people get upset about it. And that's the thing. That's where we get
Do
away
they
from the
get
healthy part.
upset about it, or do they get upset about the lies? Because
But is
sometimes,
it a lie?
no, sometimes it's a lie. Like
Okay.
sometimes, like if you haven't expressed that you want to be poly, right? And the only person in the relationship that knows you poly is you, then are you poly or are you cheating?
No. So, well, if you haven't had that conversation and you're now
Right.
being intimate with somebody else, then I would say that's cheating, yes. But a
Yeah.
lot of people don't cheat. Again, let's be careful not to paint all of it in such a negative,
No.
one limited light. A lot of people go to their person to have this conversation. I've had clients that have had to navigate this, right?
Hmm.
And they'll go to the other person and say, listen, I've been doing some deep diving, I've been doing some healing, I've been in therapy, whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm coming to some truths about myself. I'm coming to some understanding about myself, right?
Right.
And the other person may get upset because now that means the dynamic in the relationship is going to change. Yeah, I get being upset about that, but it doesn't mean that they're lying. Most of us, if
Right.
that's the case, are lying to ourselves and not honoring or tapping into what we need. So it comes through a process, it comes through growth, it comes through healing to really figure out and to be able to understand and honor what we need, right?
Right.
So I think we have to have the emotional maturity, which is another tenet I believe of having a healthy relationship. We as the individual have to be willing to put the work into ourselves to have the emotional maturity.
Hmm.
We can't look at our person to always do the work. We can't look at them to stay the same because we don't want to change. We have to be willing to allow them to grow and allow ourselves to grow so that either that the dynamic that we have ebbs and flows and changes together, or
Right.
again, we come to that place where we have to recognize time to let it go. What's up, Benny?
Hey, how y'all
Hey,
doing?
welcome, sir.
Yeah, time to let it go.
Time to let it go.
So
Time
to
to let
catch
it
you
go.
up, we're talking about what does healthy relationships look like? What does healthy dating look like? And I started off part of it by saying I don't particularly think that every marriage is meant to last. I think that some things are for a reason or a season, just like any other type of relationship. It's a covenant and a promise, but that may not mean longevity or lifetime. And then we're talking about, what are some of the things we think go into creating a healthy dynamic for a relationship or dating or marriage?
Okay. Well, first of all, how you doing, Jay? What up,
I'm
Gypsy? How
good.
y'all?
How you doing?
Hey,
Yeah,
Missed
everything
your,
good?
missed your face. I'm glad you
everything's
got a chance to join
fine.
us.
Oh yeah. Well, sorry for the delay. I ain't gonna lie. I got a little couple things falling outside
All
of the.
good.
I'm trying to slurp it up. I was just trying to slurp it up.
It's all good. It's all good. You made it. You're here. We listen. We throwing you in the deep end with us today.
You said what is the day?
I
Tuesday.
said we throwing you in the deep end with us today.
No, no. I was
Right.
just talking shit with you. I was talking shit.
So
Because
what would you say?
what would you
Huh?
say a healthy relationship looks like?
Yeah.
Um. Honestly, that's a real hard answer because it's different for everybody. You
Yes.
know, because one, I'll say generally speaking, that would be communication, actually being into one another, so y'all can communicate. I think a healthy sex life, but that's gonna start off with the communication.
Mhm.
Uh, how y'all gonna coexist if y'all coexist? If y'all have your place, no place. I think it all starts with the communication. I think a healthy relationship is a mass amount of communication because that's gonna be the doorway and roadways to all the other shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I wholeheartedly agree. My top three things that I was already saying was communication, flexibility, and shit. I don't forgot the other one already because I was going off of the cuff. But it'll come back to me or they'll catch it on the replay. But and then JB says sex. I guess that's what you were trying to. Yeah, sex. Okay, yes, sex. Um, but yeah, but what I was also throwing out there is again, I don't I don't tend to think every marriage is meant to last, just like every relationship isn't meant to last. I think that there are some people that are supposed to be together for whatever reason, season, and time, and then they come to their end. But a lot of times we get mad because we want to hold on to the person the way that they were. We don't want them to grow. We don't want them to change. We don't want it to end because it's comfortable for us. And that's not healthy. So then we create,
Right.
the dysfunction because we're trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
That part.
Well, now a square peg can fit in a round hole if you shave off the
Big
edges.
enough.
If you shave off the edges. And the reason why I'm gonna say that, like, because even when we go to talk about the healthy relationship, here's the other side. I think that if let's just say with Gypsy, if I met Gypsy in the summer of '83 and we've been together, it's 2003, that's 20 years. Of course, we done had our changes in our life. The first 10 years, it might have been her with the big change. The second 10 years, I might have passed. And we gonna see difference. So I can see how people would stay around a few what we would call extra years just to see what's
Right.
going on. Because it'll be like if I left at first sign, I would have never known if you was gonna get your shit together. You could have been going through something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but then if I left 5, 10 years too late, you should have been left that motherfucker. So
Right.
it's kind of a catch too, because if I was with Gypsy and we done had great times, hard times, she done pulled me through shit. I done pulled her through shit. If
Mhm.
it's rocking for a year or two, I would probably still tolerate
Mhm.
her or vice versa because I'd be like, damn, she just mad right now. I done seen this before.
Mhm.
She be all right. She gonna come put that little thing on me probably about a week. She
Right.
mad. And I'm sit down, I'm gonna go all up her back and she gonna be all right. So and that's normally how it goes. So that's why I can understand it from both
Right.
sides. I can say there really ain't no it's tough.
Right. Right.
It's tough. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like oh man, you just never know
Yeah.
how it go because every relationship brings about those changes. Because let's just say, once again, met Gypsy, we was 16. We had fun, we had sex in the car and mama room when they was at work.
Right.
We
Right.
we,
Right.
we done
Right.
We done smoked reefer. We done tried to drink together. You was
Mhm.
my first. I was your first. And then watch this. 16, now we're 26. Gypsy done went to school. You know what I'm saying? She got a little master's degree. You know what I'm saying? She wear heels and shit on the regular. She got a little lipstick, little eyeliner on.
Right.
And Benny Mac still sells sax, but we got 3 children. So quite naturally, yes, it don't look like she leveled up and it's time to go because it wasn't the season for it. But that could have been the season for her to say, all right, I got my shit together. Now let me help my dude. Now
Right.
let's see what we had in the next 5 years.
Right.
So I ain't gonna lie, I can see how some people say they've been there too long. I don't believe they've been there too long. I think they were just trying to make sure they didn't leave too early.
That part.
Now I can agree with that too. Now
I
on the
can
flip
agree
side
with
of that,
that
what
too.
I was saying with what I was challenging was, does every relationship end because it went sour or got bad? I don't think so. I think that there are just times, and I've seen it in some couples. I think that there are times when you just kind of realize together, you know what, it's been a good ride. The sex is actually still pretty good. We still get along. It's peaceful. It's comfortable. It's been a good ride.
But this is not what I want long term.
Right. This is, or it's not what I want or need anymore in this version of who I've become. Because again, who you started dating or married 6 months ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 or 30 years ago is no longer the same person. But I feel like we've created this dynamic and this expectation where we think because we made a commitment to someone, it meant that we're never going to change to outgrow them. We're never going to
Right.
change to be a different version that can exist without them. And that's just not the case.
But
Mm.
but I'm gonna tell you because and I agree with you. I have no disagreement in what you're saying. But I think here's the other variable in that though, is that most people will never really truly understand or be able to do that successfully because they be having flies in the buttermilk before they actually move on. Meaning that you around here you start dibbling and dabbling somewhere else before you actually made that true decision. So was it really a conscious decision when another sausage had you hostage? You know what I'm saying? Because if you mess around, if you gave
I did say another sausage ate you hostage.
yeah,
Oh
and
my God.
that's real. Cause think about it. If I'm talking to Gypsy, that's my boo. I love her, but I'm going through a tough time right now.
Right.
So She messed around and decided to go give Mondo some of that cat. So
Right.
once she gave Mondo that cat, her attention ain't even toward me, especially if it was good.
Right.
And that may be just temporary, but right now, that temporary is what it is. So quite naturally, it ain't gonna work. Because one thing what women don't realize, when a man find out somebody else been in that tunnel, even if you take you back, it's a matter of time.
Different. Right. It's women will take men back and kind of forgive. Men, they got strings attached to theirs. They get back.
Well, you know what? But you know why though, Gypsy?
Why?
Because men can wash it off. Y'all can't wrench it out. You heard what I said? I'm gonna say it again now. I'm gonna say it again now.
Oh.
You say it again now. You ready? Men can wash it off, but women can't wrench it out.
No,
no, Gypsy, not rinse, wrench.
I know, wrench it out.
Can't wrench it out.
That's the most bass backwards. Okay, bass backwards.
Wrench it out.
I mean, but it's real deal though, because one thing we know, and both y'all intelligent women know this: if you a good woman and you decided to give Mondo some of that cat, you like Mondo.
Okay, right. But for the most part, I feel the same way about men. If you decided to give Keisha some of that pole, there was something about that you decided you wanted. You may not be in love with her, you may love her, but it's still something about her that captivated you and mesmerized.
Absolutely, because something made you go on and jump on in there, especially if you get it at home.
Right.
But if she may just have a big Duke and a bad attitude and was easy.
I mean, that may be the case, but it was still something that captivated him. And this is what I'm gonna say: not all women take cheaters back. I've been cheated on.
I was cheated on, and I did not take my husband back.
No, you know what I did? Well, it wasn't in my marriage, but I was cheated on in a previous relationship. Cheating is a deal breaker for me. I said, "Oh, okay." So I went and cheated, and they still broke up with him. Now I was in my 20s. And I got my revenge and, fucked him up. And I was petty as hell. I admit it. I was petty and I meant it. But I decided after that, you know what? I'm good. It's a deal breaker for me. I don't want it.
I said, oh, okay. And I dipped because for me, that was a deal breaker and I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah. And so I don't buy the narrative that all men don't take women back or can't forgive. I don't buy the narrative that all women do take men back.
But you know something, Jay? I agree. You don't have to buy it, but we ain't trying to sell it to you. I'm telling you.
Remember what I told you, Jay? I got friends that be posting and talking about how, we celebrating our 30th anniversary. But I remember at year 5 when you was in the street.
Oh yeah, I've seen it on both sides.
In the street, and I know you was out there. I know you was out there, and I know you tried me.
Oh, I've seen it on both sides, the men and the women. But at the end of the day, I think there are a lot of men that take their ladies back and forgive them. They just don't talk about it because they don't want to be clowned.
Men. All right, I'm gonna tell you now, because you telling that's a great perspective, and you snap.
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But the thing is, the reason why, and I'm giving y'all this, y'all got your pen and paper out. This is why men take women back. Men take women back because it's so much invested at the time, whether it's financially, whether it's children, and it's so much for him to lose. And if everybody don't know, he'll take her back. And he'll take her back because he don't want to feel like he lost to that dude. But
ego.
Yeah. But he still feels some kind of way about her because he's gonna feel like, okay, I took her back. Wasn't really no consequence for it. What stops her from cheating with somebody else again? So now he's always he gonna side eye her, but he may hold on to her for a few years because they got children and he probably like her a lot and they caught him by surprise. But as soon as his self-esteem get back up on point, he is going to move on. And that's like 97% of the time. I
tend to think women do the same.
Well, I mean, I think, but women are just different. So it ain't going to be the same. It got some similarities because I know some women that cheating is a deal breaker. But I know some women that they also know what they're dealing with in this world. Because a because a lot of women know that, okay, I mess with Earl. Earl is a great guy. Every now and then, Earl may slide out and get some cat. If it's out her face and nobody knows, it ain't that she agree, but she can accept that because it ain't all in her face. Same way with the guy, as long as it's not in his face. But here's the thing, though. She can mess around and suspect Earl cheating, leave Earl, and end up being a side chick for somebody else. That don't make sense.
Ain't nobody finna be no side chick, honey.
I'm not saying that is right. But you know that to be a lot of cases. A lot of women don't tolerate cheating, but they end up being a side chick for somebody else.
Side chick because the dude has money. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
That's the
That's true.
only reason a lot of women wind up being the side piece because if he has money and he's taking care of her bills and this that, and the other, she'll be quiet. She will. But
But when,
I've never been that chick. I've never been that chick. Like I will not be quiet just because you got money. Because guess what? I got my own. So I'm not gonna be quiet. I'm not going to sit back and let you cheat on me and slip around and be dibbling and dabbling. Nah, that don't mean you won't.
Well, I'm of the mindset that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if I decide to choose to be with a man that has displayed to me he wants other partners, it's only going to be because I am also saying I'm gonna have that option myself. Now, if we ain't both got that option, then we're gonna be monogamous. I don't want to be polyamorous, right? I choose not to have that type of experience. And I don't think anything's
Right.
wrong with it. I have no judgment against it. I think it's a beautiful thing if that's what a person wants. But for me, I choose to just want to have one person that I can invest in something with and create that. I'm also a woman that has no problem with my own company. Like I like me. I like myself. I love myself. So I have the mindset I cannot control what I don't know. I cannot control what I don't see. So if I don't know it and I don't see it, I'm not going to run around assuming that you're cheating because if I got to assume it, I just need to not be with you. What I'm going to
Right.
assume until you give me proof otherwise is that we are both monogamous. We're both in this. We're both being upfront and honest and honoring whatever agreement or commitment we've made. And cheating is a deal breaker for me. Now,
Right.
again, and I think you and I talked about this in a previous episode, Benny, like there comes a point in life when things change. I don't know what I'll see a year from now or 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And I don't know what I would say if I was with that person, 20 years. I don't know. As of the person that I am now, or if I was dating somebody or married to somebody and it was relatively new and they cheated, shit, you're replaceable. That's how I look at it. You're replaceable. I can go find another one. And there's just as likely a chance that that one will be monogamous or faithful, right? Because I don't buy the narrative. I don't believe that all men are dogs or that all men cheat, just like all women ain't pure as the driven snow and all women aren't
Correct.
faithful. Like we both out here as men and women doing fuck shit. But to go back to the initial question that the person asked, like, what does a healthy relationship look like? That's what I was saying when we first started. I think it's so drastically different because we're all different.
It depends on what you're looking for because some people might be okay with poly. Some
Yeah,
people might be okay with an open relationship. It's not necessarily poly. It's that as long as we are upfront and got it on the table that hey, I do me and you do you. But
yeah,
when we're together, turn the phone on silent because I don't want to hear all your other bitches calling, that kind of thing. Hey, no, like seriously, there are people that are like that.
absolutely.
And that's fine. But for me, what it looks like for me, I'm not saying what it look like for anybody else. What it looks like for Gypsy is if we say we're gonna be monogamous. Don't be emotionally, financially, or mentally, or physically abusive, or sexually abusive to me. And we're fine. We don't have any problems. We can have separate spaces, respect my boundaries, those kind of things. But don't just think that it's going to be one-sided, that you can do you and I gotta like fall in line. That's not gonna happen.
Well, Benny, I also think that you put a good point out there and Jay agree with your sex is important and healthy. Like I think that sex or intimacy, everybody doesn't have the same sex drive. So I'll say sex and or intimacy is hugely important to a relationship to be healthy because that's how we connect as human beings. We're meant for physical touch. We're meant for adoration and love and exchanging energy with each other. You know what I'm saying? And I personally think that's the reason a lot of relationships do end up struggling is oftentimes people are getting together with different sex drives, different needs, different expectations. They're not talking about it up front. They're not being honest with themselves or their person or person.
Right.
And then you got people that's like day and night. He want to fuck every week or every other 2 hours, and she want to do it once a month or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
And
And I
she's not honest. She's not who she was in the beginning to catch him. For example, she may have been having sex every day in the beginning to nab him, but then her real sex drive shows up and she's like, I don't like to do it like that. But
but
I
that's
do.
also say men do it too. Men switch it up too.
Right. But the other thing is that maybe because of the newness, she also may have been into it because of the newness, if that makes sense.
And then too, most men don't go through that jail unless they sugar high. Now, if you meet a
But I'm
man,
just
he got
saying,
that
y'all know.
but you
Y'all know
gonna,
some of them out here like this instead of like this.
yeah, but you gonna know if he got high sugar shit. You gonna know
Uh-uh,
that on the first
wait a
date.
minute. You got some that's like this.
Wait a minute,
And the blue pill ain't even helping.
some that's like what?
Like this. And the blue pill don't even help. Like
Oh, God.
ain't nobody finna go through all that, bro. Ain't nobody
Hey,
finna do all that.
all
I'm
you
not
gotta do,
he's sad and he's
all you got to do is buy
Right.
that man some watermelon. All you gotta do is buy that man some watermelon. That's all.
So
uh,
watermelon, you need to be hydrated. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
You need to be
pick him
hydrated.
up,
come
some
around
watermelon with
and it's broke like that. Don't do that.
Oh God.
tell him he got to
Well,
eat cheese too.
oh Jesus. Well, on that note, because I want to get you to weigh in on this, Benny. I know your time is limited tonight.
Right.
The next question that was sent to us, I popped it the screenshots in our chat, I think last week or the week before. The question
Mhm.
that arose from the screenshots was, should a man be expected to prioritize his current girlfriend and her children over his children from a previous relationship or marriage? For
No.
context, the screenshots that I shared were they appeared to be a text conversation between a man and a woman. It looked like they had been dating a little bit over a year. He did not live with her. They had two separate households. And in the conversation, she was upset because he had promised that he was going to buy her daughter some tennis shoes. When she asked, was he still going to do it because he was getting paid? He said no. His ex-wife, son's mother, whoever she was, had let him know his son literally had grown out of his shoes and needed new shoes.
Mm.
So his response was he was going to go to the mall, take his son shopping because his reasoning was if he's growing out of his shoes, he's likely growing out of his clothes. He's in a growth spurt. I'm gonna make sure he's good. I'm gonna get him everything he needs.
Mhm.
I'll get her shoes in 2 weeks. Well, current girlfriend was upset, like, but she was excited. Why he can't wait? And he was like, I'm not gonna make my son wait. He's literally, outgrowing his actual clothes. She don't need them. They were just something she wanted. And
Right.
he responded, I take care of both our households. Everything you ask for, I give. I did her birthday party. Like, give me a little leeway. Let me make sure he's good. But by the way, why don't you ask his dad to get her dad to get
Right.
those?
Yes.
She was like, well, he ain't gonna do it. And at that point, my mind is looking at this situation and saying, first of all, so you're saying you got a deadbeat or a child's father. Now you want to turn your current man into a deadbeat for his own child so that your daughter gets shoes that are not a need but a want. That's selfish as fuck.
It
She
is.
broke up. He basically was like, listen, this is what it is. I'm not budging on this. You can either wait or miss me with it. I'm good. And she broke up with him. And I think that they both needed to just not be in each other's company. But I'm interested in your opinion as a man because me as a woman, I'm like, that's some fuck shit. Like, what the hell?
Well, first off, he did the right thing by getting up out of life. He did the right thing. I'm glad he stood his ground because
Yeah.
it's not like he didn't say I won't do it. He just said give me 2 weeks,
Right.
which means that I'm still willing to go outside my way for some children who may not even like my ass when they get grown. So honestly, I think he was being very, very, very considerate toward her feelings, the children's feelings. You can tell he rocked with them to even do that because really that's the father and mother's responsibility. That's not really the stepfather. The only way to me it become the stepfathers if it's like when I met Jay, Lil Willie Jr. and RJ, they 1 and 2, and we stay together, and
Right.
we whether we married or not, we together, and we raising in the same household. I would feel a little bit more obligation. But
Mm-hmm.
he got a spot. He got his spot. Shit,
Yeah.
he better than me. You pay your own goddamn bill. And if we team up together, I do it. But he already doing too much. So really, he really got blessed. Be honest with
Mm-hmm.
Now the crazy part was when I saw the post, um, there were a lot of women in the and that really did surprise me. Honestly, there were a lot of women in the comments that said, "Well, man, I get what he's saying, but I really do agree with her. I can understand why she was upset. I couldn't understand why she was upset. I really
you.
couldn't."
The word for the day is delusional.
Selfish.
Selfish, delusion over y'all. 2 words of the day. Because if you really think about it, those same women that's amen in her, what if the little boy was their son?
Right?
Right.
Then he
They
gave
would
out.
It should be totally
talk to
different.
the boy with their son and be like, his father ain't shit.
Right.
No, they'd have been like, nigga, you better get the motherfucking shoe. That baby growing out them clothes. And if that's
Right.
your biological son, you are gonna take precedence for
You
your
better
biological.
not be taking care of somebody else's kids and you won't take care of your blood. You
That's crazy
better
as hell.
fucking not.
Now that's different to me. I do. There is the other side of the argument when a man is present for his kids and he still takes care of the needs for the mother of the children as well. I think that's a gray area. I don't know about that one, but taking care of your kids and prioritizing them.
No, but I'm saying if you have a choice and you have to balance it because of financial reasons, if you don't take care of your blood, but you take care of somebody else's kids, like let me just say this. That's the problem is a lot of men will leave the woman that birthed their children and take care of the children of the next woman that they're with and forget, quote unquote, forget that they have children and make those children a casualty of that relationship going south. That's why we have so many broken fucking children and broken adults that are in this world now. We have broken adults because they were not prioritized by their parents.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Now, do you want to rebuttal anything on that before we go to the next question, Benny?
No, that's cool. Like I said, I said my piece on that. He's been blessed.
Yeah.
She broke up with him. He ain't even had to break up with her weak ass. So they
Yeah.
did good.
Yeah.
She'll be back though.
Nah, shit. I'm
If
telling you,
he
when he
got some sense, he
realized,
won't let her.
when he realized, because the way she was speaking was so selfish,
Yes.
I doubt if he go back.
No,
Because
she'll be back. She'll be back because she'll realize that she's
No,
gonna
we're
be
not talking
trying
about
to
what she's
beg.
gonna do. I'm saying
She's
I
gonna
hope
be
he don't
back.
take her.
She's gonna be trying to beg to come back, and I hopefully he'll wake up and be like, "Nah, that's all right. I'm good."
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see that happening. I see a situation whereas you got a guy, the way she handled him and tried to make what they call gaslight him and making him feel bad about still saying, I'm gonna do it and I do shit for these niggas anyway, and you tripping?
Right.
She's selfish, man. So by her letting him go, that means she stood on that shit. And if he
Yeah.
a real nigga, he gonna make a stand on it.
Yeah.
Ain't no coming down. Stay on it.
Right.
I would.
Well, hopefully he will. But
So,
go ahead.
so the next question: I really want you to weigh in on this, Benny, from the male perspective, because I know a lot of what we as women think, but I don't think that I hear enough men talking about this. So I was doing a training yesterday, actually, a corporate training on sexual harassment. And that's a really intense topic to do a corporate training on, number one. Number two, it's a really uncomfortable topic for a lot of people to talk about in their professional space, right? Because most of us try to keep sex out of our conversations when it comes to our colleagues and anything that's, personal and intimate. We should anyway. But sexual harassment is one of those things we have to talk about because it, in my opinion, it varies on what it looks like, what it is, how people respond to it, how they interpret it. And I don't think I see enough men talking about it. So that was one of the things we talked about because it was a mixed group of men and women. That was one of the things we talked about. What is it even? Right. So even say it's happening, you got to kind of put a definition on it. So what is your vantage point of what does sexual harassment look like?
Sexual harassment, man, it's so broad and ambiguous, man. It's kind of really hard to define because sexual harassment can be you staring in a direction, but like you're staring at me. Sexual harassment. You know what I'm saying? It could be that in the world we live in now, we got a bunch of fucking weirdos. Let's just go on and say it. I ain't gonna say what kind of weirdo, but a bunch of weirdos. I'm just gonna leave that open. So their perspective of life is like when a man naturally talks to women, women naturally talk to men by nature. So if I see a woman and I'm attracted to her and I say something like, hey, what's going on? You looking nice today. I'd love to take you on a date. Ooh, he's harassing me. You know what I mean? People like that, they look at like there's a lot of shit that was
It's
at one point.
harassment if she don't like you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but to me, he can get in trouble for just actually trying to court a woman. So that's it. This is so broad and ambiguous. I would really have to have individual examples to give a legit answer to that question because it's so broad. It's so many different ways that's been deemed as sexual harassment now that I personally don't think is sexual harassment.
Well, that was actually a big part of the conversation that we had. The fact that number one, sexual harassment doesn't always have anything to do with having a conversation around sex.
Yep.
Right? It could be, one of the examples that I gave them was it could be as simple as a man or a woman, because we also have to remember it's not only men harassing women. Women harass men every day. Men harass men. Women harass women. It could happen between the same gender or different, right? And so, one of the examples I gave was it could be as simple as me walking up to you, be like, Benny, you fine. You smell good, right? You might not want that from me.
It's
But
flirting when he's cute or
well,
when
and that's why I was going with it. That was one of the things we talked through. Your interpretation, well, that amongst a couple other things, your interpretation of those comments is based on your upbringing, any abuse that you might have experienced in the past, any type of situations that you've already experienced that made you uncomfortable, and do you like that person or are you physically attracted to that person?
right,
Because if you like that person or you're attracted to that person, you're more likely to be like, okay, shit, what's up? Versus, why is
right,
she talking to me? Right. And it's the same thing on the woman's side, but just because they're attracted to you doesn't mean it's not harassment. And
absolutely,
the other example that I gave on, because one of the people was really struggling to understand, like, this doesn't make sense. I'm just not getting it. Why would that be bothersome? And I said, well, here's an example. Let's say that person had been abused when they were a child. And that phrase is what somebody used to say to them. You smell good. So when you just made that comment, your demeanor, your word choice, your smell, your behavior, whatever could have triggered that memory for them, right? So a lot of times I think we have to be careful because what we view as sexual harassment or not, may be such a simple thing as an easy comment in our eyes, but it can be something very, very different in the receiver's eyes. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but yeah, that's true. But I do believe in cases like that, in my honest opinion, they should actually Ask the woman first. I'm assuming it's a woman first.
I agree.
They just say, Shirley, um, have you had any issues in the past or anything like that? And just kind of get to the bottom of it. And she say yes. Ask him, do you really think he was trying to say that, or do you think he just don't know what happened to you, and you might have could have verbalized, look, hey, look, Janet, I really don't like you like that. And then, I got some past things in my life I would appreciate if you not talk to me like that without even saying.
Yeah.
And then that right there, most guys don't like rejection, so they like, okay, I'm gonna stand away. And that you ain't got to say that happened in your life, but I don't think it's fair for you to take something that happened in 1981 and hold that shit against a nigga in 2024, and they don't even know. They
Yeah.
just thought you were cute. They thought you was attractive. They might have whispered that, like, "Hey, Gypsy, you smell good," because it was other people around, and I just wanted you to hear that. So that's what I'm saying. The stuff that people look at is so weird. It's like, nah, I don't know what kind of trouble you got. Shit, you gonna hold me accountable for the shit? Hold them accountable.
Well,
So
let's be honest. And some people are just looking for a payday. Like, to be honest,
tell them, Gypsy. Tell them.
some people are looking for a payday, and so if they can sue a company, like, they'll know. I mean, because like I said, if it was Jim in accounting versus Jim the bus driver, they might have been more receptive to Jim in accounting than they were to Jim the bus driver. Like, let's just keep honest, right? And,
Yeah.
and so that's the thing, is that what makes it sexual harassment is that it's an unwanted attention. And unwanted is because of the person.
Yeah.
Not because of anything that's happened to, it's because of the person. Let's be honest about that. And so that's what makes it unwanted, is because the receiver doesn't like it from the giver.
But that's all that really matters, though,
Right.
right? The
Right.
receiver has to be in agreement with what's being said in order for it to be
Absolutely.
appropriate.
But that's the whole thing, is that it's all about their perception of who is giving them the attention. And so it's really not fair to the person that is, because I mean, and let's not get it twisted. Men can be sexually harassed as well. Because if Big Shirley tell you smell good, and Jay tell you smell good, you might report Big Shirley.
But again, and like I said earlier, yes, men are harassed every day by women, but same-sex harassment also happens, right?
It does.
Men can harass men, women can harass women, etc. And again, here was another point that I made to them yesterday. Number one, it doesn't always have to do with sex. Number two, sometimes, and most times, harassment is always a power move. And sometimes sexual harassment is specifically used as a power move. I don't like you. I don't want you in this department. I don't want you as my boss. I don't want you working for me. I'm mad at you because of whatever. Or we used to date. Now I'm mad because you dating Sheila, or you mad because I'm dating David, or whatever. So now I'm going to use the claim of harassment or sexual harassment against you to control the narrative and get the outcome that I want. So my point to them was, as we were going through this dialogue, there's a lot of things that we just have no business saying in the workplace. Bottom line.
Like what?
Whether it
Give
be
me an example.
so going back to the example of
I would just love to get you in the bed.
right.
Say
Okay, that's one. That's one.
Right.
Damn,
anything that can make you be at the point where it makes it seem like you trying to eat and sleep in the same place. Don't say it.
But let's use something a little bit more ambiguous. That's why I like the example of you smell good. To most people, that's a simple compliment. I like your fragrance. I like your cologne. You smell good. That smells good on you, whatever. To most people, that's fairly ambiguous. The breakdown I gave them on that was, unless you have developed a friendship outside of work, to get to know the different ins and outs and
Mhm.
layers of this person, not just the limitation of what you see inside these four walls. If you have not developed an we're not talking about a fuck ship. I'm talking about an actual
Mhm.
friendship, right?
Right.
With this person, to get to know the different parts and pieces of them, to have ongoing communication and engagement with them, to have rapport with them. If you have not developed that with them, that's never a compliment you need to give somebody in the four walls of your job. And even with that being said, it still should be reserved for all intent and purposes, and when at all possible, it still should be reserved for outside the walls of that office. Because even if you're saying it to them and you are friends with them, you say it to them in the hallway and somebody else overhears it, and now they're uncomfortable because they think you're sleeping together, right? Sexual
Mhm.
harassment is not only about the person receiving the unwanted advance or wanted advance or actions or words or whatever. It's also about anybody that witnesses it that may
Right.
feel affected
Yes,
by
I ain't gonna lie, Jay. I agree, but that's some bullshit.
it. It is some bullshit.
You
But
know what
what
I'm saying?
but
If I, no,
CYA,
not
CYA.
not saying what you're saying, but like if you think about that policy, I'm sitting there talking to Gypsy, and I'm saying like, yeah, Gypsy, you smell good, baby, you look good. That little goddamn do rag good, goddamn. And your weak ass over there eavesdropping, and
Right.
I'm harassing you. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I get what you're saying. Like, could
Oh
I
yeah.
just throwing out? Because I'm
I
sure
would
a lot of people watching this feel the same way. Like,
But
you,
ear
I would
hustling.
too.
you
But it's
ill
but
having, and you
CYA.
want to hit it. Like to
I'm
me
with
though,
both of y'all. But
I,
CYA, Benny, CYA, cover your ass. When you in them four walls and that's your patient,
I, I, get-
that's the mode
I
we gotta
get,
operate in CYA.
I got it though. But you got four walls, and I can be around the corner because I didn't see anybody. But your weak ass sitting there eavesdropping, and I get the charge. To me, the
See,
judge should just throw that shit out. Because they're like, okay, so how did you obtain this information? Well, I was around, I was listening because, you know, get out my courtroom, man. That
I,
should,
I was
it
ear
should be that
hustling.
simple. I mean,
right.
think
But see
about it.
what happens is like you said, somebody's weak ass has decided,
Mhm.
I don't like Steven. I'm mad because he wanted Sheila, he didn't want me. So guess what I'm gonna do? I heard them. Oh, now I'm gonna file a claim with HR that he's harassing her and he harassed me.
But watch this though. But watch this though.
And it
Watch this
may
though.
wash out and not come to anything, but a lot of people have lost their jobs and their livelihood and had black marks go on their career because of stupid shit and saying things that they could have waited to say outside them four walls, or just not saying it at all if they didn't
I
have
mean,
that person.
but the thing is though, it's like to me, as you said, a lot of that shit is just big and ambiguous that really don't even make sense. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because most cases, we know
Mhm.
not all, but most cases, if I say some kind of out the way to Gypsy, it's because me and Gypsy probably rock like that. In most
Understood.
cases,
But
in
but
most cases.
but
Now,
you have to be careful because
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that in all cases, and I know that I won't say certain things at work. But if me and her interact in a certain way, it can be nonverbal.
Very
But
true.
you go in there and say, "Hey, been a harassing Gypsy." If Gypsy come in and say, "No, he's not harassing me," the one who came in there should be fired because you
I
put that
agree
job.
with you.
Because my
I
thing
agree with
is, in
but
most
the
cases,
reason they're not is because of the perception.
it,
Because
you.
it's about their perception.
and it should be
I
fired.
agree.
But it's because you were willing to get them fired. They should be
Yeah.
fired. Shit like that. Because it's
But how
frivolous.
many people have lost their job because of perception? But how
Right.
many people have ended up being demoted or transferred or working in hostile environments because they couldn't keep their damn mouth shut saying something that they didn't need to say at that moment? You know what I'm saying? Or because they had a relationship that ended and now somebody's mad and wants to report them and tell on them and go to HR and do all these things. And those are some of the nuances that we were talking about. A lot of the times, we have to remember that there are a lot of people that are truly victims, and they when they speak up for sexual harassment, they have a hard time being believed because there are also a lot of people that lie and that
Correct.
manipulate circumstances, or that will blow something very simple out of proportion or that will take something that they know didn't mean any real harm, but they'll use it to their advantage, right? There are people that lie. There are people that are also truly victims. But the hard part is because it's so nuanced and it's truly up to interpretation, we have to err on the side of caution when it comes
Right.
to sexual harassment. And that's why I always err on the side of, if you got to question whether it's appropriate, that's your key indicator. Don't say it.
Right.
If you
Exactly.
got to question
And
whether
if
it
you
might
gotta
affect your
whisper
life,
it,
don't say it. Don't
and if
do
you
it.
gotta whisper it because you don't want nobody else to hear it, don't
Don't
say
say
it.
it. If you got to question whether that gesture or that hug or that physical touch or whatever, because sexual harassment is not only verbal, it can be physical, right? If that stare or whatever was too long, if you got to question it, err on the side of caution and don't do it, because too many men and too many women end up in bad situations with their reputations tarnished, even if they keep their job, even if nothing,
Right.
financial is happening as a consequence. A lot of people end up with their reputations messed up and tarnished
Mm.
when it's a situation that could have been
Never
avoided.
get promoted, all kinds of stuff. Because, and that's the thing, is like, and like Sheer just said, people are fickle like that and petty. You're right, they are. And you just never know. Some people will just report you just because they don't like you.
Very true.
It has nothing to do with what you actually did. And
Very
and
true.
because sexual harassment is, um, by the perception, you can't say that they didn't feel harassed, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
Mhm.
that's
That's why I
crazy.
said CYA, because it's so nuanced and it's so individual. CYA, always cover your ass. Err on the side of caution. One more
So
question
basically,
before we bring this to an end, huh?
so basically, you just need to be at work and not say nothing. Just
I
Hey,
mean,
good morning. Bye.
keep it casual, keep it surface.
One more question before we bring this to an end.
All
Uh,
right.
okay. You all shared, okay, so this was in reference to yesterday. You all shared some good points on what happens when you get to the breaking point and divorce is your only option. Would you marry again? Is the first question. And then Jay, you mentioned you learned some things you didn't expect during marriage. Can you share more? Okay. So Gypsy, would you marry again?
Probably not. My
what?
ex husband tried. My ex husband tried to get alimony. I probably will not marry again.
I mean, you can always do a prenup.
Yeah,
To each
I've
his
been
own.
there,
I'm telling
done that. I've been there, done that. Got the T-shirt, and then I like my space. And if I were to marry again, it would be somebody that we didn't live together. He had his own thing, and I had my own thing. We see each other.
you.
We see each other. I mean, I just wouldn't. So yeah, I don't even see the point. I mean, I'm 54, so I don't see the point in getting married again. I mean, I have assets and stuff like that, and I just don't want to commingle my shit with anybody now.
I get that.
What's up?
Absolutely. My answer would be I'm open to it. It's not something I feel like I just need to rush and make myself do, but I'm open to it whenever I feel that I'm ready for it again.
Mhm.
Um, and as far as the question, um, you mentioned you learned some things you didn't expect during marriage. Can you share more? Yeah, so last night I was saying, I waited until later in my adulthood to get married, and that was by choice and intention. And I thought that and I did, I guess for all intents and purposes, I did do a lot of work on myself to get to that point to finally feel
Mhm.
like I was ready for marriage. But once I got married, um, there was still so much that I found that I was having to learn about myself that being married was forcing me to experience. And it's funny that you said, the living together part, because that was a big thing that I actually struggled with, like having to balance being in a shared space with a whole nother human being when I was used to being in my space, doing what I want to do, going where I want to go, and just living in my own individuality and autonomy. Having to figure out different ways to constantly communicate and consider someone else's needs. And, a big thing that I learned about myself was I really am me. I always, people would say that to me. I'm like, I'm not. I'm nice. I really am not nice. I'm just not.
Mm-mm.
That became crystal clear to me, having to deal with another person constantly in my space, in my face, me in their face, and not just being able to throw up those two deuces and be like, and I'm
Right,
out. You know what I'm saying? Because
right,
my inner circle used to joke with me before I got married, like I always kept my running shoes at the door. That was still very much present. It never went away from me.
right.
Um, and I honestly I have to be honest and say I was surprised by that. I thought that I had gotten to a place where I had kind of worked through that and was more docile with that type of energy, but it was very present and it was something that I felt like I was constantly having to
Battle.
navigate and battle and work through. So I'm the same. Like I know that if I get married again, it likely would not be a conventional marriage in the aspect of I don't know if I would want to live in the same house. And if we do, I know that I have a desire to have space. So we need different wings or different levels. We need something that's built a little different because I don't want to look out my bedroom and you in yours and I'm still mad at you and you still mad at me and I can hear you breathing. Like we need to be able to have space, right? So
Right.
I am of the mindset that I understand why old school couples used to sleep in different bedrooms or why a lot of couples even nowadays stay in different houses in different cities and do the long distance
Mhm.
thing. Whereas when I was younger, I was like, I didn't have a tolerance or the patience for long distance. Now I think that
I
I'm
would
probably better
prefer.
suited for it. Yeah, yeah. But it was through marriage and through having that experience that I learned that about myself because I had never been forced to face it, even in long term relationships. I had never been forced to face it.
Hmm.
We know that you are married, Vinny. Um, what is your take on just I guess some of the expectations that come with marriage because a lot of people you and we've talked about this in past episodes, but a lot of people feel like if they get married, it can only look this way and it has to be this way or it's not right or people are gonna judge them and they're afraid. But like it's what we make it. I think people get too caught up in the wedding day and the contract with the state, the
That's what
government.
they actually. People are more invested in the wedding than they are the marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel as if whatever you are before you come into the relationship, I need you to be like the state of Florida and stand your ground. Because if y'all actually really communicated for real who you were without all that little simple ass line and shit trying to make yourself feel a certain way, this for the man or the woman, you would already understand that. And you would like each other and respect each other and be like, hey Jim, say, hey, I'm gonna catch up with you later on. I'll be back. And if y'all got a good relationship, when he get back, get what? You ain't gonna be able to stop that nigga from talking. He gonna tell you everything.
Right.
Most or women do not like to feel like they are just got a gate around them and they're an adult.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I'm married. I've been married. Shit, I don't know how long. It'd be what 14 years this year. And I ain't saying in no facetious way, but I do what I want to do, man. I'm grown. But
Right.
I'm gonna respect who I'm with. But you just got to trust that when I say I'm gone, I'll be back and talk to you.
Mm-hmm,
The
Right.
problem
mm-hmm.
is if you go to holler, what you finna do? Who you finna be? Who you finna see? Now you gonna either make me get smart with you or just not talk to you at all. Because I don't owe you no explanation. Just like when a woman goes somewhere, I don't sit there and ask all them goddamn questions
Right.
because I could be asking for a lie. You only gonna tell
True.
me what you want me to know anyway.
Right.
You're
True.
only gonna tell me what you want me to know. So with that being said, man, I ain't sitting there doing all that goddamn explain. Like I said, you got children, you don't have to ask what they doing. So what make you think this man or this woman you can control like that? The only thing that I do for a woman, and this just speaking generally now, the only
Sure.
thing I do for a woman, or the only thing a woman would do for a man is as much as she like that motherfucker.
I
Like,
agree with
like if I'm really into Gypsy, I'm really sexually attracted to her. I love her conversation, love her smile, love everything about it, and vice versa. And that shit real. None of that would even be a problem because you're gonna want me to know. You're gonna be like, hey, Gypsy, baby, I'm gonna run over to the store, baby. You want something from the store? I
Right.
just went out to the store, baby. Yeah, and I'm gonna take your car so I can top the tank out because I'm doing everything because I'm into her and vice versa.
Right.
But if we really into each other like that, there's gonna be a lot of shit that's gonna be hopped over.
And everything is gonna get on your fucking nerves.
Yep. Right.
Everything. Like
'Cause
this
say,
motherfucker. Look how he chew.
that's right.
And, and I can only speak from my own experience with this part of it. There were a lot of things I thought that I was willing to do or give. I thought, ideally, right, in a perfect way. There were a lot of things, and just as a random example, I'll say cooking every day. I always thought, well, if my husband wants me to cook, if that's his thing, if that's his love language, and he wants a home cooked meal, I'll gladly give him that. No, now, depending on what the finances are, if I ain't got to work and all I got to do is be in the house, I might do that. But running a business and all the things is not something I want to do. It's not on my radar. Don't give a shit about it. But those are things that matter to people, right? And I think that's a big problem that we face is a lot of the times people aren't intentionally lying.
Right.
So we have things in our head that we have seen or that we have heard, and we thought, oh, that's good. I like that. When I get married or when I get in my relationship with whoever, I want to be able to do this. This is good.
And you know that ain't you. You know you don't like to fucking cook.
Well, that's the thing. I love to cook.
But see, that's the thing. You like to cook when you want to cook, but
That.
to be someone that's obligated to cook,
right?
You know that ain't you. And if that ain't you, then that's like trying to fool yourself into being something that you're not. And that's why I like what Sheer said. She said she had a question. She said, the bigger the wedding, the shorter the marriage, they say. Is that true? Yes, because a lot of times they are more invested in the wedding than they are the marriage. Some of them just like the show and the fanciness of the wedding. And then when they get married, the mundane day-to-day stuff that you got to do, they're like, I ain't signed up for this shit. Yes, bitch, you did.
And that's the thing, right? If you genuinely love a person, if love is relative, right? If you genuinely love a person, should you be willing to do what it takes for them to be happy in the experience with you?
And wait a minute now. Are they doing what it takes for me to be happy?
No, let me finish my statement though. And that's why I said if, because my response to my question / statement is, I think that that's an unfair expectation that we put on other people, that they have to do these things that will in turn make us happy. Happiness is individual.
Right.
But again, my own ignorance, there were so many things that I had seen in people's relationships that were happy. And I thought, I could do that. That seems good. But I realized that when I had to do it and it became an expectation, and it was unfair because I set that expectation and created it, and then I didn't want to maintain it. That's just one example from my end, right? But I think we do that to each other as people. A lot of the times we set expectations and standards that we can't keep, and then it turns to resentment on one side or the other.
Now, ladies, I hate to end it, but I know I'm definitely over my time, but it was just so great. But I got to go now. Yeah,
you don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah, not on no Tuesday, but yeah, catch me on Thursday.
Catch on Thursday. If you want to chime in real quick, because it's time for us to end anyway. So if you want to chime in real quick before you go, please do.
Yeah, about the wedding.
About who wedding?
The bigger the wedding, the shorter the marriage.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm gonna say this real brief, but honestly, I literally got about 10 seconds. I'm gonna respond on this. I think that's true because I think they're not really focusing on what the life need to be. They're focusing on what they want everybody to see. Mm-hmm. So, and I think, and once you got everybody in your business, it's almost doomed to be a failure because now you got too many opinions talking about the decision that you all made, and that ain't never good.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah. So that being said, ladies, I'm gonna
have a good night.
All right. Yeah. Check me out. BennyMac205.com. Shout out to Gypsy. Shout out to J-Bay. And remember, J-Bay, see you next week for the podcast.
Yeah. I will be there.
All right. Now.
So you guys in the Sex Intimacy Power audience, yes, Benny has the Barbershop Chronicles podcast. They go live every Wednesday in the barbershop. So I will actually be joining him and his co-host Sam next week on the 19th, which is also Juneteenth. Okay. So I am actually super excited about that. I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but y'all know I can run with it on the fly. So I'm just ready to jump into it with them. That being said, if you have not, make sure that you do this special thing for us before we end this broadcast. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you hit
Subscribe,
that like button on the video. If you
like,
have not, take the opportunity to grab that share or click that share
share.
button and grab that link and share it out. And at the very least, ask somebody to search Sex Intimacy Power on YouTube and Facebook. No spaces, all one word, Sex Intimacy Power. And they will find us on Facebook and YouTube to catch up on the replays. Make sure that you are hopping into the comments with your questions. Even if you miss us, you can still pop them there and we will come back and respond. And lastly, if you want to get in the hot seat with us and be on camera live as one of our special guests, send us an email to sexintimacypower@gmail.com. If you have questions that you want to answer, you can also email them. Want us to answer, you can also send them there. And if you got something juicy or a little bit intense and you're like, I don't know, I can't ask that, they can't know who I am, click the link to the form in the information up under this video because you can go straight to that Google form. And I do have the settings turned on so you don't have to use your email. It will be completely anonymous. You can pop us your questions and we will answer them
Absolutely.
live. With that, Gypsy, you got anything you want to share with them or throw out there before we bring it to an end this week?
Nope. We will see you next Tuesday for
And
another sip episode.
hey, we love you all and thank you so much for being a part of our audience. And we will see you next